Go for it.
Good. Hey everyone, Mark from LPLive here. This week marks the 15th year anniversary of the Dead by Sunrise album Out of Ashes, and to celebrate, the band's releasing a digital deluxe edition of the album with bonus material that includes a new live show, an acoustic show from Las Vegas, and the fan favorite track Morning After. Joining us today are two men who need no introduction. From Dead by Sunrise, Julian Kay, and many other bands, a million other bands, Ryan Shuck and Amir Derakh. Guys, thanks for joining us and setting aside some of your time to talk. I know you've had a really busy year with touring, music, and you actually just got off the road pretty recently, in fact. But thank you for giving us some of your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're happy to talk, and thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So to kick us off, I've heard you speak over the years, and everyone pretty much knows you've wanted for a while to do something with the Dead by Sunrise material that exists and that hasn't come out. And now here we are 15 years in with this big celebration for the 15-year anniversary. Can you really walk us through how all this came together for the anniversary, putting this release together, how you picked the bonus tracks, how you picked the show, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, yeah, basically we were approached about, doing the vinyl basically for Record Store Day. There had been a previously released vinyl. It was a single vinyl that was released in like the Netherlands or something crazy. And those like go for a lot of money now because they're super collectible. But they, came to us and said, hey, we'd really like to do like a double, record version and had, they had some ideas or whatever. So I started combing through all of the material that we have that really, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been used. And that acoustic show was really a great pivotal piece. And it really shows off the band in a really raw form, by doing it acoustically. And it's cool too. One of the things I always liked about us playing live versus the album was that Ryan did the background vocals live. And I always thought that Ryan and Chester sounded really good together, and I really wished that we could have done it that way on the album. But at least we have these live versions where they sing together, and all those different versions that we have, including the acoustic show, are really cool because you get to hear that other element. And also it's pretty stripped down. Like these songs are just, really raw. And it kind of, in my opinion, shows off like how good the songs were to begin with. So that was just something that I found that we had. And we decided to make one whole side that because we had enough material to make that sort of a featured side, basically, with the entire acoustic side for side 4 or D or whatever you want to call it. So that was really cool. And a lot of people always asked about Morning After. And of course there was the Underworld version, but we also recorded like more of a Dead by Sunrise version. And that initially was just a bonus track for Japan, on the CD or whatever. So that was kind of easy to add that because a lot of people were asking about that. But there actually is some more stuff, and we've been working with Warner Brothers to potentially do another release of all kinds of stuff that we have, which would include live that no one's ever heard really, the demos. I think there's like a song or two possibly that's like unreleased, like an actual song. Mm-hmm. I'd even like to cover some of the process of it. I found some what Chester used to call song seeds. And there's actually a couple of song seeds that I found that's literally just him playing acoustic guitar, but they're not songs we ever even did. Mm-hmm. So it's just that initial thing that people could then see, like, this is how these songs started. Like he literally just is playing an acoustic guitar, and then they just expanded into all this other stuff that we did to make it Dead by Sunrise. So there's going to be some really cool stuff for that as well. And, we'll be working on this for a little while. I can't say when exactly it's going to come out. And obviously it'll be a surprise again. But there is definitely something in the works.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the key factors for me kind of wanting or kind of remembering that we need to work on this stuff and put it out was Talinda reached out to both of us and said, hey, look, it's, I think emotionally, we all kind of reached a point where we felt like we could do this again, and get into this music again. I think for us, for Linkin Park, Grey Days, anyone, Stone Temple Pilots, anyone that was involved with making music with Chester, obviously had your world just rocked, and it's taken years and years and years for us to, everyone at their different speeds and everyone in their different way, because no one's the same. But it took us a long time to even imagine touching it, you know. Um, and I just always remember my last conversation with Chester, and that was a really awesome conversation, really fun, classic Chester and Ryan. And I've told the story before, but I'll say it again now because I think it's relevant given all the stuff that's happening right now. Linkin Park coming back out with a new singer who is awesome, by the way. I want to speak about that a little bit if I can.
Absolutely.
And hopefully this is a forum where, Linkin Park, fans and Dead by Sunrise and everyone that's involved in that world will maybe pay more attention than if it was just on Blabbermouth or something like that. I think it's kind of cool to be able to say something about that. But my last conversation with Chester involved Linkin Park, Dead by Sunrise, and Grey Days. And we had a big, haven't seen each other in a while. He just finished the latest Linkin Park album, and we were getting ready to do some new Julian K and go on tour and all this kind of stuff. And he was locked in like the studio. We were locked in the studio. We just hadn't got to be around each other that much. And he was dying to pull me out to the car. We were at an event, and he wanted to pull me out into like the limo or the SUV or whatever it is, when you get driven to an event, and he wants to play me the new Linkin Park. He was so excited about it. And obviously I'm super excited to hear it. We ended up not doing that yet, but we, spent the whole evening, face talking really close to each other and telling each other like about all of our new music and all the stuff we want to do. And he had told me that, how excited he was to be working with Sean again in Grey Days, and simultaneously with the Linkin Park stuff, he was excited about working on Grey Days. And the last thing that we talked about was, he goes, "Hey, when are we going to make more Dead by Sunrise?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, man. You've got 2 other projects you're working on. We're getting ready to go on tour." He goes, "Just let's make time to do this." And he goes, "Have you guys been able to play any of the music? Like, what have you guys been adding any songs to your set?" And I was kind of like, I never really thought of it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, "Well, we didn't make this music to just sit." He's like, "I want it to be played. If I'm not able to do this with you guys, he's like, you can sing this stuff. So I want you to sing. I want you to do it." Like, you reached out to me and invited me to do, we did a Julian K acoustic show. And I invited Chester to come down to one of my restaurants where we have this acoustic kind of special performance. We do it invitation kind of only type of thing. It's very special. And he goes, "I can't come," but he's like, "I want you to sing it." Well, we were going to do Let Down. And so that was super cool. And I think we did it, didn't we?
Yeah,
did I do Let Down? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was because he told me to do it, because he wanted the music to be heard. He wanted the music to be played. Even if he was engaged with Linkin Park or engaged with Grey Days, he wanted us to do Dead by Sunrise. He wanted Linkin Park music to be played, worked on, and to happen. And he wanted Grey Days to happen. So it stuck with me really strongly, because it's a terrible reality that you have to think like this. But when you think now, like, what should we be doing? This was all something that we put our blood, sweat, and tears into. Linkin Park did, Julian K did, Dead by Sunrise did, Grey Days did. How do you keep going? And it keeps echoing in my head how many times he told me that he wants this music to live. He wants us to continue to propagate it. He wants us to continue to work on it. He wants all of these projects that he was involved in. He told me in no uncertain terms that he wanted these things and all these different groups of people who he called his friends to make music and have fun. That's the whole point. And it's just stuck with me, because it's not just been that conversation. It's been many conversations that he's encouraged us to something we might be working on. Maybe it's Julian K stuff that he works on with us. He actually worked on Julian K stuff with us as a friend.
He also wasn't super precious about the Dead by Sunrise stuff, as far as like he always would tell us like, I want to license this stuff.
Yep.
Put it in a movie, put it
Yep.
in a TV show,
Yep.
like whatever, makes sense for us, let's do it.
Yep.
Like he was always really adamant about that too.
And that makes me just feel like, after many years now, and we've sort of all been in years of therapy and, trying to deal with the realities now. I think that we spoke to Talinda, and it was actually Talinda's, idea to reach out to us and just tell us, look, let's do something with this stuff. Let's flesh out whatever stuff there is available. Let's re-release stuff that needs to be re-released. Let's put stuff on vinyl that needs to be put on vinyl and do it correctly. I back it 100% as speaking for his estate and everything. And she knows, she said, I know Chester wanted you guys to do this, whatever you can do with Dead by Sunrise. Mm-hmm. And when she kind of got behind it, a lot of stuff really started to happen because, it's a precious thing. Like Linkin Park needs to say go if they want to do something with Linkin Park. Talinda and all the people involved and us, of course, need to say, hey, we're okay with doing this for Warner Brothers to proceed. And so that happening, I think, gave me and Amir I don't know, maybe the reassurance, maybe the little extra energy to just go, okay, look, we're all in agreement. The family's in agreement. The label was into it. And now we're getting a lot of response and ability to just move forward with this music and ideas that we go, hey, look, we have these pieces of material. We have this live stuff. We actually have this acoustic show on film. We have it videoed. So, there's stuff like that, that we have. But, given that Warner Brothers is really in control of this kind of stuff, we kind of need everyone to be in agreement.
They've been exceptionally cool, though. They basically
cool.
have, kind of given me the ball a bit to just kind of help organize it all. And the album, I actually oversaw the actual mastering of the vinyl. I was present.
And that makes it, the actual band is like in charge of the mastering and the sound of the album. That's something, honestly, we didn't get as much freedom when the album was initially created.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool.
No, so we really were a part of making sure. I mean, we saw every aspect of the layouts, we picked the vinyl colors and all the, everything we did very carefully. And so this next little project we're going to do is going to be similar in that fashion. I mean, we actually have too much stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, and I've actually been working on trying to narrow it down to like what's going to be like the coolest little bits, and some of the other stuff maybe goes online versus being on vinyl or whatever. So I don't think it's a big deal for me to be talking about this because I think people should know this is something that's in the works, and I think it's going to be really, really, really cool and another piece to really show. I mean, obviously the record is well produced and all of this stuff. It's kind of, I think it will be cool for people to see kind of like how this all started. Maybe some of the, the demos being a little more raw.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was just recorded here basically. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff actually ended up on the record.
Yeah.
So there were things that we added to it and all of that.
But the demos have a sound.
Yeah. There's
definitely, I mean, they are finished full on songs. They just call them demos because they aren't on the album.
Yeah.
And I know they were pirated for a very short time and released out into the world. But I mean, they are really, really good and they are different enough to be a different feeling thing. Mm-hmm. So we could completely release that. And we're definitely, that's on the board. And that's stuff that we all did here. Just us, it's pretty amazing. I think it's kind of relevant, might be a great place to talk about this, given the fact that we're, working on all this Dead by Sunrise and everything. We were on tour when Linkin Park made their, huge announcement, and we all were at, got to stop and have some lunch, and we all watched together on our iPads and stuff at lunch out in the middle of nowhere. And, we didn't say anything. We didn't post and everything. I think that I at least felt that I shouldn't take that opportunity to try to garner attention for myself. Not that that's what I would be doing, but I just didn't really want to. I wanted this thing to be about them. And really, I thought it was an amazing, the game they played to make this happen and promote this thing was awesome. I watched the whole thing unfold and I knew what was happening. I completely knew, but I sure as hell wasn't going to hint to anyone or say anything because this is Linkin Park surprise. None of us need to be talking about any of this stuff. And, they didn't tell me any of it. We just know a lot of what's going on. And so we just, we knew some stuff. And I watched it unfolding. It was really fun to watch as a spectator and someone who loves Linkin Park and is a fan and knew what was going on. And when the hammer dropped and to see how big it was, and I know also polarizing to a lot of people. And that's why I want to, say something. I was surprised that I'm still to this day getting DMs from fans, and not just fans, but close friends. They're all writing me, asking me whether or not I'm okay with this, whether or not, number one, it's not up to me to be okay with any of it. Number two, I am 100% in support of what they're doing and the way they did it. If anything, I would say I wish it happened sooner. But like I said earlier, everyone has to deal with all of this at their own pace. I think it would be just as understandable if they never did anything again because of how, difficult this whole thing has been for all of us. But I think the world is a much better place with Linkin Park in it and Linkin Park making music. I think Emily is a great choice. I don't know her personally, but I have personal close friends that have been in bands with her. And I definitely knew vocally that she could do this stuff. I think that as she gets more and more shows under her belt as well, I think it's just going to become more and more like all of the old music is going to mix with the new music and have her, feeling in it. And it's going to be awesome. And I like the fact that they didn't, I saw a lot of polarizing stuff about them trying to replace Chester. And yes, I've heard, Jamie Bennington and Chester's mother say a lot of really, really misguided and super nasty and completely untrue shit. I can say that those people don't have any inside track or knowledge about anything. They're unfortunately, I considered making a full-on video to deal with this stuff because the stuff they're doing and saying and the people they're appealing to, it's not good.
I mean, Jamie was saying we're going out and going to play Dead by Sunrise, like with the new singer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, none of this
none
of this is true.
It's all
and we just got to say that if you're listening to what that guy is saying or what either one of them are saying, they are not speaking from any place of truth. There's absolutely no truth, and I'm holding back right now. So no, none of that is true. So he's completely made, videos saying completely false things. He doesn't know anything about anything. Regardless, it's good for me to say that I think that Chester would be completely stoked with this choice. So I think that out of anyone in the world, other than the guys in Linkin Park and Toolinda, I think Amir and I, Chester was our best friend. And I know for a fact that from not from conjecture, but from 100 conversations, adult conversations, not as little kids or not a little kid to a father or anything like that, from adult friend, brother to brother conversations. I think that Chester would be completely stoked and he would high five everyone in the band. I think it's a great move and we're 100% in support of what they're doing.
I think that no matter what they were going to do, that it was going to be massively polarizing.
Yeah.
Because you can't replace Chester. Yeah. Everybody knows that. So they would never win, in that situation. So I think by getting a girl, I think that was awesome. Really, just sets it off in a new course. It's like, it's just a different thing.
I think it was very decisively not trying to replace him.
Yeah.
Right.
I just thought it was great. And from zero, the whole concept, I was like, that was fucking smart, and it's basically, really pinging back to their very, very early days when I met them, and it did to me feel like, okay, this is Linkin Park and it's also a new band. This is also a new era. And I thought that was just a very, very smart way to do it. And I'm not going to use words like clever. I'm not going to use word because I don't think that they're, trying to be super clever. I think they're trying to figure out an honest way that's true to them to go out there and do the thing that they were put on earth to do. And that is be Linkin Park and write Linkin Park music. And honestly, it's pretty obvious by all these sold out shows that I think you have the polarizing stuff online and the nasty people and the kind of lowest common denominator type of response. And then you have the people who love the band and love the music and support the music and support these guys for getting out there and doing this again and continuing on what they're supposed to be doing with their lives and what they've worked so hard to create and build. You don't just want to throw that in the trash. Chester doesn't deserve that. Linkin Park doesn't deserve that. The fans don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. So I'm super happy about it. There, now it's on video. It's probably, you can stop DMing me now.
Well, I certainly agree with you. The world is definitely a much better place with all of this music coming out from all of these projects that Chester had his hand in.
Doesn't it feel happier with Linkin Park with new Linkin Park coming out and Linkin Park concert dates happening? Doesn't it feel happier?
It's great.
I mean, it does to me. It feels like there's something put back together in a way. And no, there will never be another Chester. It almost gives me a lump in my throat to say. I mean, it's that emotional for us to even think about. But it's not about that. These guys deserve to make the music that they're making, and they deserve to bring it to the world.
Chester used to stand right here with a microphone and sing for the Dead by Sunrise stuff. He literally was right here.
That's awesome. So there's definitely a lot of demand for all of this. There's demand for Linkin Park, demand for Grey Days, demand for all the other projects, and so many of the communities are overlapped. It's really one large community. But
and we thank Linkin Park and Chester for all of this. I mean, it's like, you know, the fact that there's people that come to these Julian K concerts and stuff that are Dead by Sunrise and Linkin Park fans, and Linkin Park gave Julian K our first real leg up by letting us come out on Project Revolution. I mean, I can't tell you how many of the first Julian K fans discovered us through Project Revolution and thus through Linkin Park. So we're inextricably tied to them, and we're forever grateful for what they've done. They've been nothing but cool, and they supported us in doing Dead by Sunrise and supported Chester in doing this. And also, might I say, with the new Dead by Sunrise stuff that's come out, behind the scenes, some of the Linkin Park team was helping facilitate this.
Well, Linkin Park actually posted about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're
pretty cool.
They're being nothing but cool to us. So, you know, I'm glad that we have this forum right now to talk about it, because I didn't want to do a big social media post and get thousands of likes and do all this. I just did not want it to feel about me. I wanted it to be every bit about them, but they also do need to know that all of their friends support them in what they're doing.
That's great. There's definitely a lot of demand across the board for all of this coming out. So it's great to see stuff start, you know, finally getting traction and things coming out. Going back to the vinyl in April around this release. So now in October, we had the digital deluxe. Back in April, we had the limited edition vinyl that came out. And as you saw on social media, there was quite a bit of a frenzy with people globally going out to the record stores to try and get copies of it. I was seeing photos before I went to bed of people lining up in Sydney, Australia before the sun came up, people in London, Berlin, everywhere across the planet. You know, I went in Atlanta before sunrise, and I met several people in line that had seen Linkin Park and Dead by Sunrise live. I was pretty shocked, and the copies went quick because they were limited. But did you expect quite a bit of hype around this, or were you kind of shocked and blown away with the response of it completely selling out, or how was that?
I think we were a little bit surprised. I think, you know, we always think very conservatively. So yeah, I think we were excited that people were, you know, that it had this another life now. Just like what's going to happen now is that we're going to get it online. A lot of people have been asking about, you know, Morning After being online everywhere, and the acoustic set, you know. So I think it was cool though to do the vinyl first and just kind of, you know, get it out that way initially. But now, you know, it'll be everywhere where everybody can listen to it.
Yeah, I think that we go into all of this stuff nowadays. I mean, now that we've been doing this for 30 fucking years, and now we're a completely independent entity as Julian K, and everything that we do and our record label framework and our marketing company, we really, our attitudes nowadays towards any of this stuff is very neutral. So when we go into anything, we don't think it's going to be the best thing on earth. We don't think we really are open to see what happens and how we need to respond and what we need to do to help it work. We used to probably 20 years ago go into it like, fuck yeah, and fucking yeah, it's the best thing ever. And maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. I mean, there's certainly things that I've been super excited about that just epically fail. I mean, that's part of being an artist is we do fail a lot. We just try not to let people know. And then you glorify the successes. And, but I think now we go into almost everything with 30 years of experience now. We go in with neutral attitudes and we just kind of, we believe it's good and we're confident in it. And we just kind of have to see how the public is gonna respond. And seeing the same thing you saw, I mean, that made us feel fantastic. It honestly felt like it was more hype than when the album came out initially.
I was going to say, I feel like they, Warner Brothers and everybody really took it seriously.
Yeah.
Even more so than when it first came out. And that was really cool to actually, because I mean, we're honoring Chester with this record. And I wanted to make sure that it was as good as it could be. And they were really down with that too. And anything we do in the future, they're also on that same page to make sure that whatever we're going to do is going to be as good as it can possibly be. Because it's important to me and everybody else, I'm sure all of us, that this is our legacy as well as Chester's.
I think it's kind of interesting to see how the music has, we get all the Spotify, the spins, all the information. We see all that every week and get those updates with all the other music that we've written, and from Orgy to, Julian K to my short stint in Edema or whatever it is, whatever music I participated in, we get all those numbers. And the Dead by Sunrise stuff has been going up, which is a wild thing, and it's not being worked by anyone. No one's doing anything. It's not getting added to soundtracks or anything like that, even though Chester wanted that to happen. And I'm sure it will happen here or there as time goes on. But it seems like the work really has grown on its own and people are discovering it more and more and more. And the good news is there's millions and millions and millions of Linkin Park fans that maybe haven't discovered it yet. And that's really, really awesome that they can still discover it and continue to help it grow. It's just fantastic.
That's a really good point, because back when the album came out, I mean, I was a participant in all of this at this time. This was like at the tail end of MySpace, and then, Twitter existed. Facebook wasn't, Facebook was around. It wasn't quite what it is now. Instagram, I don't think, was around. So it's just like the whole platform for all of social media is a completely different game. And then, as Linkin Park made album after album after that, they brought on all these new fans and younger fans. And especially now, I mean, it's been it's been 7 years. And so now with a whole, you still have so many of the original fans around, of course, but with a whole different fan base that you're playing around with, I mean, that would probably explain why so much of the music for Dead by Sunrise is doing so well right now. I mean, you saw the hype online just for the vinyl in person. I mean, I can imagine what the streams are doing. So it's a very exciting year overall.
Yeah, I agree. It is.
So the huge highlight of the deluxe edition release is the first show you really played together as Dead by Sunrise, 2009 in Las Vegas. Notably, it was an acoustic show. But before we talk about that actual show, you have a bit of history before that with acoustic performances. And I know many people watching this are going to be big fans of this singular performance that I'm talking about. The world was really introduced to you guys, before the name Dead by Sunrise really existed, I believe, back when it was either Untitled or Snow White Tan or whatever name it was going by. You came on national television for the Hurricane Katrina benefit and played Let Down, and instantly that became a fan favorite. This was, before that happened, there wasn't all this talk online about, hey, this is a project and we're going to do this and that and we're making an album. There wasn't a lot of that going on online in the fan communities or in the rock press. And it was just, you showed up with Let Down acoustic and everyone was like, whoa, holy shit, what is that? And then, what a way to debut something on TV to the entire world like that.
I think that we didn't necessarily know what was going to happen. I think that we were just working on music and being friends and having this like incredible summer where, Chester wasn't touring with Linkin Park. They were working on new stuff. It was more idea phase and he was living here and we were just working on music. We were working on new Julian K. We were working on his ideas. We hadn't figured out that we were going to necessarily be a band yet, but we definitely, when we did that, we definitely saw that, okay, wow, this really sounds like something. This really sounds like a band. And I think that was a pivotal piece in us kind of becoming what became Dead by Sunrise. Sure, we were talking about ideas and names, Snow White Tan, all these different ways of are we this new thing? And I think that was definitely when we watched it and saw it back later, we were just like, oh shit, we look like three guys that are in a band together. Like it sounds like a band. And the response was awesome. And back then, none of us really knew how to use social media well. I'm pretty fucking good at it now, but I will totally admit that, to all of us, it was very different and new. And honestly, we weren't super interested in it. So I wasn't really great. None of us were really great at capitalizing on it, interpreting it, expanding on it, whatever it is that you can do nowadays that we're pretty good at doing now. We weren't really into or great at back then. So doing that on like such a national, probably seen internationally kind of thing was a way to do it that we understood at the time.
I think part of the whole acoustic thing is like what I was leaking earlier is that, Chester used to start these song seeds on an acoustic that I got for him, basically. This one Yamaha acoustic that he used to always have with him, and he played it all the time. And so all of his ideas really started acoustically. So it felt natural to have that interpretation of it as well. And of course, in the actual album, there are elements of acoustic in there, but overall, we kind of wanted it to rock a little more. But also, because Chester and all of us were like, we should have different ways we can play this stuff. Having it ready to where we can play an acoustic set or whatever. It's like, it's really cool. And actually, I think in some ways that probably started us on our acoustic journey with Julian K. of doing the shows that we've done as well, where we kind of realized, this is pretty cool. You can really kind of see how the songs work in a totally different way. And it's really, it's pretty awesome. So I think that's kind of how it all worked for that,
I think definitely Dead by Sunrise definitely helped us figure out that we should be interpreting the songs acoustically as well. And with Julian K, we're very much an electronic band. We do play guitars, of course, but we are heavily rooted in electronic music. So for us to interpret the songs with acoustic guitars, it really is something really unique and special. And the fact that we can do it, I think it's shocking to fans when we break out these guitars and also mix in some electronics. But I can actually sing, and we can actually play and do all this kind of stuff. It's kind of an awesome thing to do. And I think we definitely have to thank Chester for that, because a lot of what he was doing was predicated on the acoustic, like Amir was saying. So for us, it was kind of like truly stripping the songs back down to their roots. It wasn't that weird to do Dead by Sunrise like that.
That makes sense. That singular performance probably launched Let Down into what it is today, of course, a fan favorite and all that. How did you, I don't know how many songs you had at the time or how that process worked, but how did you end up landing on Let Down? I don't know if anyone's ever even asked.
First song we did.
First song.
It was the first song we did. Yeah. Yep. That was what created the band. He came here, and I used to have a big couch right here, and he was sitting on the couch, and I was telling Amir, I'm like, dude, he's coming up with all this really cool stuff. I was up at Chester's house at a party a couple of weeks before that, and I was just saying like, hey, we should, I want you to hear what he's doing. It doesn't really fit with what Linkin Park's doing. And I wasn't proposing that we do a band or even produce it. I was just kind of, as friends, let's hear your music. And so Amir really intelligently got an SM7 and put it down in front of the guitar after we kind of heard the song. He's like, just play that song. So Chester sat there and played kind of a not the best version of it, but he kind of played the skeleton of Let Down with the vocals. And the mic just picked up the guitar and the vocals. And then Chester's like, well, guys, do whatever you want with it. Just see what, do it. And he's like, I've got to go back home and da 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 da, and we can talk about it tomorrow.
I think it was like 3 days later.
I think it was overnight.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it was like
overnight.
I think it was a couple days because we did
my version. It was overnight.
Yeah,
but we stayed up all night.
Yeah, and we did a lot. So we took that, and then basically, for the most part, what you hear
did all of it.
All of that was done. So when he came back, and we're like, "Hey, so by the way, remember that little
that little song you recorded just with one microphone
with the acoustic?" We're like, "Space bar," and then he would lost his mind.
Yeah, he ran out of the room screaming and ran around the house. We had this loop around the pool, everything. Ran back in the room, screamed, ran back. He did this run around like a little kid. And he runs in, he's all, "Are we a band? Are we a band?" And it was really cute and really funny. And he basically was kind of like, I think we're a band. He kept saying this. He's like, "This sounds like a band." And I think he was super excited to hear that song really taken seriously.
Well, it was cool too, because like, it wasn't about making it like what we do per se. It was really to try to build something,
make that song right. Yeah.
Well, it's something different. And all the Dead by Sunrise songs were rooted in Chester's initial idea, not ours.
Yes.
That was the goal from the very beginning.
It wasn't about making it Julian K meets Chester. It was about making this music that he starts into this collaboration with us, and that's unique on its own.
But not be afraid to do whatever. Yeah. And that means use keyboards or drum machines.
Just be very musical.
But just, have fun with it and just make cool songs, basically, that are, really focused on Chester.
That's good. So it really, at the end of the story, it turned out great. The final version of the song's great. So
we want you guys to hear the demo version. It's actually really cool good.
Too. Oh, cool. So the introduction to you was actually acoustically, as we mentioned, bringing us up to speed from 2005 to 2009 with the show in Las Vegas. This was really, as I said, the first Dead by Sunrise actual performance. I know they came out in the Julian K Encore at the Club Tattoo show, you guys, and played, but this was the first really show on your own. And you debuted a bunch of songs no one's heard yet. No one knew any of the songs. They may have heard Let Down or Morning After, but none of the others. You took a risk by doing it all acoustically. So I was going to ask, who even thought to play acoustically for your first show? But now it's really, making sense that so many of the original versions of the songs were acoustic. You just naturally felt comfortable playing acoustically.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was still like you said, it was a gamble. I wouldn't say that we were all like comfortable doing it. But we had all talked about the fact that these songs sort of started like this, and also the nature of the venue and where we were playing. It wasn't really something where we thought we could bring the full Dead by Sunrise show and all these fucking amps and guitars. And the guitar setup that Amir and I had was extensive for Dead by Sunrise, because Amir designed like a new a system just for Dead by Sunrise. So we had the Julian K way, and then we had the Orgy way, and then we had the Dead by Sunrise way, which was just as outlandish and ridiculous as anything Amir creates. And we knew that venue at that Club Tattoo had set up in Vegas. It was it also doubled as what magician was in that venue? It was some real famous magician. So they cleared that out, and it's a really nice, really cool venue. Like I said, we have it on film, so that'll come out at some point. But we didn't think that it was appropriate to really rock
I feel
a
like
Dead by Sunrise show in there.
I feel like it was probably Chester who came up with that.
But the practicality, though, really was a huge part of it, because it wasn't. It wouldn't really work for us to do the whole fucking enchilada, at that show. And Chester, I think that he was definitely supportive of trying this acoustically. And I think we rehearsed it a few times, and we're like, fuck, we think we're good. We think it sounds cool. But the response was, and afterwards, Chester came up and he did one of his classic high five, just real nonchalant. And he goes, "Well, guess we should do this more." And it was kind of funny. And I was like, right? I'm like, this turned out really good. He's all, yeah. He's all, dude, we can totally play like this. This is awesome. And I think we were all kind of shocked. We just did a whole show acoustically.
And then I remember
I had never done that in my life.
I remember the conversation with Mike about going on tour with Linkin Park. That whole thing. That they came to us with this idea with Chester, and so we're thinking about like having Dead by Sunrise, play on the encores. And we were like, what? Are you guys crazy? And he's like, no. And Chester's like, yeah, we should do this. And I'm like, okay, that's like, wow, I can't believe this. Like, that's like the coolest thing ever. I can't imagine, and it was really great. It was like pretty shocking to people,
Yeah,
though,
it was pretty shocking.
I mean, people were just kind of like, what the F is going on here?
Yeah.
When we would come out, but then, it definitely caused a stir.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty smart.
It was
idea.
pretty smart, yeah, because social media was just getting going there, and then you at least, even if you're a little shocked at the show, as the songs start to be out and people start to see them, they start to become like, okay, wow, these are actually cool songs. This is actually kind of rad. And now all you have is just the video of that and lots of people, and it's really, really cool. I saw there, I don't know what channel it is, but I see it every now and then pop up, like the one we did in Europe at like Nebworth or whatever.
Sonosphere,
Sonosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And it pops up, and I see Metallica and all the shit. I remember that show so well. It was such a huge show for us. And I also remember how brutal the travel was because we had to play in Germany the next day.
I was at that show in Germany. So funny enough, I saw the very first show you did. I think it was in Germany as well, in Encore. And then you did England and then back to Germany.
Yeah, we had 2 flights to get from England to Germany. And we slept all of 0 hours, and it was brutal. I mean, we were up for like 2 or 3 days, just insanity. But it was so cool. And I watched the video of that, and I was just like, God, it's filmed really well. It's cool. It captures, Chester trying something new for a bunch of people and trying to play some songs that no one has heard before, and having to be strong and deal with the fact that, they're not going to be singing all the words back and everything. And that is something you have to, we're not used to that. We're used to going out there, and even with Julian K, which is much, much smaller than Linkin Park, we go out there and like typically the audience is singing the words and shit. I can hold the microphone out. That's a good feeling. And we do all that work to prep that to make sure they know the words, and you put the songs out. Well, with this, we went out there and played it and surprised people, and we did it all over the world. And I think it turned out really, really cool ultimately, but it was tricky. It was hard. And we had to play perfect, because if we fucked up any of the songs, right, no one's heard them before. You can't make any mistakes. So that freaked me out.
LP and the crew and everybody was
made
awesome.
Made it.
I mean,
happen.
We shared like so much stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally just showed up with like guitars.
Hi.
And a guitar pedal.
Yeah.
And like,
thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 plugging in, and went out there and rocked it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So going back to Vegas, listening back to that show now, 15 years later, what sticks out to you, or maybe any highlights from that show? Like, I remember when this show happened, I was very active online at this time, and this was still in an era where you could get away with the no phones, no cameras at the show type of thing. And these songs hadn't come out yet. So that was something going on for that show. Someone in the front row, I think, took a terrible quality video. It's still on YouTube. Of part of In the Darkness and part of Walking in Circles, not the full songs, I don't think. And these videos just exploded online. I think they're still there, but the comments in those videos were like, holy shit, like, whoa, what is this? And then, of course, the album eventually came out. But for that period of time, people were like, whoa, this is really good. Did the band really feel that way right after you played?
Yeah, we were shocked.
Yeah.
You don't know anything until you go do it in front of people. It's you don't know how things really are until bullets are flying. You know what I mean? So,
we didn't get to do a lot of shows, but the shows we did were really good.
Yeah,
People
really
were
good.
Very enthusiastic. Yeah. Because there were some headlining shows we did here and there. Like I remember New York was kind of a standout. Of course, Hamburg was a standout. Where we, just did our own thing, played a full
Japan
set.
Was a standout.
Yeah, Japan.
Like, easily standout.
Yeah.
That was bananas.
Yeah. And it was really cool. I wish we could have done more.
Absolutely. So it'd be a complete shame if I didn't mention the last Dead by Sunrise show together, which actually was another acoustic show, all the way to 2011. And this is probably my favorite thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, was the benefit show for Stars of the Season in Arizona. You played for the benefit, and uniquely the show had Dead by Sunrise songs, Julian K songs, Linkin Park songs. I have the Julian K time capsule here. And on Time Capsule, Palm Springs Reset, and I'll Try Not to Destroy You are
Mhm.
included. I believe your album didn't come out till the next year, if my dates line up correctly. So people didn't know those songs. But in my opinion, those two songs are, I love the Dead by Sunrise music a lot, but those two songs, the vocal interplay is maybe the most impressive thing you guys have ever done. It is
I,
very good.
I I agree, and I remember when we did that show. I remember going back to my hotel room with my girlfriend at the time and everything, and I was just like, "Fuck, we are on another level right now." Like the way that after doing this with Chester for a few years, singing with Chester for a few years, we had reached a point where it was really like just with very little rehearsal, we could do new stuff and have it really match and just weave in and out of each other really really well. And I got to tell you, that's not easy because I always tell this kind of like a little bit of a joke, but learning how to sing with Chester Bennington on stage is like getting on a roller coaster and finding out the seatbelt's gone. And you're just like, Chester gets up there and he's got power every night. He fucking crushes every night, but he sometimes goes, it's a roller coaster. He'll do things that aren't, that we didn't rehearse. We'll do, and he's going for it, and you have to fucking go along with that ride. You have to. You don't have a choice. So if you're a guy who's playing guitar and singing and you think you're a good singer, fucking have fun with that, because Chester's doing his thing, and it's amazing, and it's a little humbling, because you just go, wow, you just we were supposed to do the scream right here, but you screamed 8 times perfectly, really fucking hard, and then did this other high note that somehow. So I'm just like, okay, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, but you guys got it down after
Yes,
a while.
yes,
That's why I was
took some
saying
time.
that's definitely one of the things that I always really liked with the live version versus the album.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously Chester's vocals are great on the album, but
yeah,
I really wanted it to be more of an interplay thing with Ryan, and we didn't get to do that. But on the live performances and stuff, they got to do that, and they sound really good together.
Those two
Um,
performances are absolutely incredible. I
you,
mean,
you were definitely on another level. I mean, that was absolutely true. We just had played enough together that we really knew how to read each other's mind, and that was such a cool thing.
mhm.
That's the feeling. I mean, in a lot of ways, Amir and I, when I play with Amir, on tour, and after you get a couple shows in and everything, you always need a lot of shows together to start reading each other's minds. But I think that's when it becomes the most fun, where I don't even have to look. I kind of know something should happen here, and then something happens there, and that kind of stuff is amazing. And then to be able to get to that level with a guy like Chester, it's so fun for us, to be there. And that whenever I hear those recordings, that's exactly what I hear.
There,
I'm like, we were at the top of our game. It was so good.
there's a couple more Easter eggs, but
Yeah.
there is some other live stuff that I'm hoping that I get to use. That I think the energy that was captured on these recordings is really more
Oh, I think I
like,
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and yeah, they're really powerful.
We actually recorded a lot of stuff that people haven't really heard.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
that's
but
great.
yeah, there's some other live stuff that I'm hoping to
The
be able
band,
to
it's
use.
kind of funny. The band, we kind of fought this because we wanted to just do this all in the studio, and for a variety of reasons, but the band turned out to be such a good live band.
Yeah,
Like, we actually turned out to be guys who can play together really well. And I remember Mike Shinoda coming in. We were doing rehearsals with Linkin Park, and Linkin Park would kind of stop their set, and then we would kind of take over the rehearsal space for a little bit, and we'd play our songs, and the band was there, and we got done playing, and I don't know if it was Mike, but one of the guys, they're all, you guys are gonna fucking like start a fire. Like, you guys, feels like you guys are gonna like tear the fucking place apart. Like, wow, it was just really funny. They were like, the energy is like just, there. That felt really good because, of course, we watch Linkin Park and go, oh my God, it's so good. So it was really cool to hear that from them, and to know that those guys, they've been around since the beginning in a lot of ways for us too. We played a lot of their first shows, and we were a relatively young band in Orgy. So they've seen us in all these different forms, and they kind of understand where we're coming from. That's super awesome.
That's great. I wanted to give you a little bit of a platform for a time capsule. I'm not sure how much you've spoken about it in the past, but I just, I was looking at it earlier, and I just think that is just such all-encompassing, awesome fucking project, like physical, digital, the artwork. You guys did everything yourselves. It's super impressive. There's notes about all the songs. There's photos of y'all rehearsing the Dead by Sunrise songs that are just spliced in there.
Yeah.
But looking back, you have to be super proud of how Time Capsule was finally released to the world.
It was so much work.
Yeah,
and it was so, I mean, I think that it's a great example of the first time that we took on something massive by ourselves. The whole team between Amir, Fu, and I really were firing, and we got a massive project done, 4 discs. And it was also the hubris involved and the fucking balls you have to be like, we're going to put out a 4-disc set as an indie band with no label, and to think you're going to like commercially do this. And it was one of the most successful commercial things we've ever done, with no single on it, no nothing, direct to our fans. I mean, it's just to this day it sells.
I think it took a couple of years for me to compile all of the tracks. I'm the one who typically keeps the archive of everything, pretty much of any band I've ever been in. So, I just started going through my iTunes, and I had all these files, and, I was just finding all these really interesting things. And then we had a bunch of songs that never really got finished, that were like sort of realized, but never really fit the album that we were working on currently. And they would get pushed off to the side, And then eventually we had all these songs, and it was really weird because when we started putting it all together, it just started to all fall into place. Like, oh my God, this is what was supposed to happen with these songs. They were all supposed to be like basically like a B-side album, like it just all worked together for that. And then, of course, we had lots of remixes. We had the original demos. There's like acoustic performances. There's rough mixes. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. But we did this Indiegogo campaign. It was the most successful one I think we've ever done.
I think so.
It's up there.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult, actually, to create that packaging. And got to give a big shout out to Tom Dolan, who's our designer. He created this right here for our new album. He knocked that out of the park. I mean, we literally handed him some things, like some pictures. I think we discussed, or maybe it might have even been his idea, to have the collage inside. And so we, gave him a lot of different things. And then, of course, he had lots of art elements from all of our records because he created it. But the way that he put it all together, where there's just elements of all the different records and the cover and everything else, it was just, he knocked it out of the park. It was one of those times where it was just like, so this is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, okay, we're done.
And by the way, Tom Dolan also did Dead by Sunrise.
Yeah.
So he's someone who, for Julian K, has been part and parcel to everything that we've done. His handwriting is essentially the writing of Julian K. And Julian K and Dead by Sunrise, the projects were so tied together because both those albums were created at the same time in the same studio. We would jump from a Julian K song to a Dead by Sunrise song to a Julian K song, and then when one thing became more important, we'd finish more of that, and then the other would become important. So it was just something that was so tied. And Tom was part of all of that, and continues to be, even though he's retired, he continues retired until we fucking bother him. He continues to be a huge part of our voice, and a huge part of the way that we communicate with the world is through his visuals. And he kind of knows telepathically what me and Amir are kind of going for a lot of times. We even provide elements. Sometimes I'll do something that I think is finished, and he'll spit it back out broken, but it looks right. He just he'll take what I did and break it into pieces essentially or something, and just and spit it back at us, and then it becomes the thing. And so it's just a fun relationship that we've had for a long time. We're very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, and he and his team who did the Dead by Sunrise stuff really, I thought, knocked it out of the park. It was very different, like the whole vibe was so different, but so cool and unique all at the same time. The whole photo shoot of us jumping and that whole thing was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like when I still look at that, I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah. And they were part of all that, like
Yeah.
art directing the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and working with us through the whole thing. And those were some of, I think, the coolest things to do, when that album started to get a look and these concepts that with the black like material coming off of us is like this darkness chasing
Mm-hmm.
us and everything. And we're, based on the lyrics of the album and everything, I just felt like there was a depth to it. And I think Chester really got it. We got it. A cool thing too is we actually just did a deep dive as part of all of this. When you come up with like, okay, we're going to re-release some Dead by Sunrise stuff. We're going to master it correctly for vinyl, which is not, you don't just take the recordings for a CD and put it on vinyl. That's not what you do. You have to redo the fucking recordings. You have to redo the masters. And Amir sitting in on that is a big deal to get it to sound correct and have it the right weight and all the shit that you have to do to make vinyl right. Another thing we did was a deep dive into all the initial photography. We uncovered all of the initial photography. So if people think or fans think like the 9 pictures that are out that are professional of the band are the only photos, they're not.
We got a lot.
That's
of
the
cool
only
stuff,
photos that we chose. However many 15 years ago. That's all. But there's a lot more stuff, and that's going to be really cool. I actually haven't had a chance to deep dive go through all of the Dropbox, but we had to go and recover all of this data. We had to, so it's a treasure trove. And what that means is new stuff that we come out with, we'll be able to do new things with the art and packaging, and we'll be able to put stuff on there that people have never seen, looks and vibes with Chester and with us that people have never seen. And I think that stuff's really cool. Again, given the weight of the situation, it's fun that we can have these time capsules of what was going on back then, and looks and feelings that were good enough for an album, but just didn't make that particular album.
Funny enough, so the time capsule also has a separate title, which is a future retrospective, right?
Right.
Well, that was actually Chester's idea. That was a title that Chester was thinking about for Dead by Sunrise. It was one of the titles that he had for the album.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. And when we were doing this thing, I remember asking him, I said, I was thinking, time capsule, a lot of bands have done time capsules or whatever, but I kind of wanted to use the future retrospective thing too. And so I asked him, like, do you care if we use that for this? And he's like, no. And it was around the time that we did those, we were putting those tracks on, wanted to make sure he was okay with all that too. Yeah.
This is just another example of how supportive
yeah.
he was, and how not precious and nasty and controlling he was not. He was extremely encouraging, and ideas that we all came up with together were community ideas. You know what I mean? I think that for us, we can't work with anyone else that isn't like that.
Yeah.
And it's probably a reason Orgy's not, the band's not doing anything together, is the way that we do things is what we do. If you're in the room and we're coming up with it together, we're very open and free with it, and we share, and it's about sharing credit and all that kind of stuff. And to us, that's how you make music. I think Linkin Park works like that as well. And with Chester, it was absolutely like that. And even more so, to see someone at his level, and truly, Chester for our generation is like our Bono from U2. He's truly like this enigmatic, incredible, untouchable artist, singer, personality, all that kind of stuff. And to have someone at that level of power, and yes, I'm saying power, because if he wanted to be an asshole, he could have been the worst human being ever made, but he wasn't. He was sweet as hell, and super generous and giving, and honestly included us in stuff that, sure, we did, but included us in ways that he probably didn't have to because of his level of power, and that was a huge lesson for me and Amir as well. It's just almost like a reassurance that, hey, let's keep being the way we are. Let's include people. Let's hook people up when we can hook them up. Let's share knowledge when we can share knowledge. If we come up with something with friends and we're not using it and it's cool, let's let them use it, or whatever it is. All these things were just reinforced by how awesome Chester was and how encouraging he was to go after it and use ideas and continue to just perpetuate our art.
It's great to hear about all the crossover between all the different bands, especially, Julian K and Dead by Sunrise in the studio. Looking forward to
You know,
Friday. No, go ahead.
that he, and this is really funny. I always laughed about this. This is total Chester, but we were in this studio and he would, we were looking for a singer for Julian K. I didn't want to be the singer. I didn't think that I mean, I sang in Orgy and stuff, but I didn't consider myself a lead singer. And Chester was like, "You're the fucking singer. You are the singer. You're the person you're looking for, dude. You have to fucking, okay." He's like, "Either you're the singer or I'm going to sing for this band because I fucking love this music and I already feel like I'm part of this band. And if you're not going to be the singer, then I'm going to be the singer. So what's it going to be?" And I'm like, well, at the time, I couldn't imagine the singer of Linkin Park being and doing other things. But that's before we knew that Chester really wanted to do a lot of different things. And I was like, well, you're in Linkin Park. You can't sing for Julian K. We're like a little electronic band. Like, you can't do that. And we didn't really have a singer. I mean, I was singing the demos, and Chester was sort of helping me kind of, get the confidence to be the singer. I just didn't know it at the time. And those words really stuck with me. So he really had one foot in being the singer of Julian K. Or Amir's idea was like, why don't we create a new thing for you? For you, Chester.
It's still all of us.
Yeah,
it's
still
the
all
same
of us.
guys.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere, but we'll make it sound totally different.
It was funny though that and then we record, his ideas and stuff, and it turns out it really is different than the Julian K stuff, but it was awesome. I don't know that Julian K would have become the force that it is now, a band that independently can tour the world and do all the stuff that we've been doing and releasing so many albums now and crowdfunding everything. I don't think we would have ever gotten here if Chester didn't have that confidence in us and tell us that what we're doing is cool. It matters. Ryan, you can do it. You are the singer. You've always been the singer. Stop this. Stop looking for other people. It's you two. Go for it. And so thank you, Chester. And then that led to Dead by Sunrise.
That's funny with all the crossover there. On Friday, Morning After is included on the deluxe edition, which Amir had mentioned earlier was not available globally for everybody until right now. But I remember you did the remix of it for Underworld Evolution in like '06, I think. It's funny because, the Morning After that's on Out of Ashes on the deluxe edition is, of course, the rock version, but the one that's on Underworld Evolution is the, collaborative mashup of ideas and really all of you coming together for that version. It's honestly pretty good. So that was funny that was the first big introduction to the studio material of everything.
Yeah. It is super cool. Yeah. And we made that special for that application.
Yeah. I mean, the idea was to make it more electronic and kind of, it was supposed to be a unique thing. I mean, we didn't even have a band name. It was just Julian K, Chester Bennington or whatever. We'd been doing a few things like that with some other bands. So we just thought, yeah, that's cool. We'll just kind of take it and interpret it in this more electronic way. But of course, when we went back to do the record, it was like, no, we should have this rock way, like what we play it live, where it's a bit more straightforward.
Yeah. So bringing us kind of to a close, it's just exciting to hear that you have more Dead by Sunrise plans in the works.
Thank you.
We don't need specifics, but it's just refreshing for a lot of people that are watching this. I'm sure they'll be very happy to hear that you guys have really carried the flag for a long time now, especially with this music, and you've done a really good job with it. You've honored Chester, countless times over the years. The Hollywood Bowl Show, you were there. You hosted all the fans at breakfast.
I did.
You did. You hosted all the fans at breakfast. You did the Dead by Sunrise set in Italy for a memorial tribute show. Much, a million other things. But then now the next step is this deluxe edition that's coming out on Friday. It's great that the community for these bands has been able to participate in all of this, and you've honestly just been such positive figures in the communities, which I understand is not an easy thing at all. The entire time it's not easy mentally, but you guys have just done so well with it. So just from the fans' perspective of everything, I just wanted to say on behalf of the Linkin Park and Julian K and Dead by Sunrise fans, thank you for being such positive figures and
Thank
honoring
you.
honoring Chester and the music and keeping things coming and planning on things and being excited about it. It's just really such an awesome year and overall just a really positive thing to be around.
Thank you so much. Well,
Yeah.
like I said in the beginning, what would, Chester, I think this is what he would want. And I mean, I say that not because I'm guessing, I say it because we know, because we've spoken to him a million times about all of this kind of stuff. Of course, the context has changed, but has it? I mean, this music deserves energy in life. And Chester was a positive person when he wasn't struggling with, the issues that he had. He, as a human being, he wanted the best for us, for people, and I think anyone who trusts their gut knows that. He was not a force for negativity.
No.
He was a force for positivity.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, he had a dark side. So do I, and so do most people. But he was not an evil person. He was a good person who wanted us to all to be happy and to kick ass.
It's interesting, of course, after the fact of, when you really look at the record and how Chester was really pouring his soul out.
Yeah.
There's so much there that, even, at the time, I mean, what we do, we have a lot of darkness in our music. I mean, our new album's called Dark Mode. But, there was a lot of darkness. And I think that's why we all work so well together, because we understood these things, that he had inside of him. And, but of course, looking back on it, it's like, I'm really grateful that I could have been a part of this purge for him. Not only then, but even now, to just know what this was for him, and of course his friendship over all the years that we were together, but even especially the times that we went and we did travel the world together and we played these shows together. I am super grateful for that. Like I will honor that forever. It's just something. It's just such an enormous thing for me during those times. It was a lot. It was a lot that happened really fast.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, and I'm really proud of the record, and I'm glad that Warner Brothers is taking it so seriously and is also giving us the chance to even go a little bit deeper into getting some more of this stuff out. Of course, we don't have a ton of stuff, and he's not here to sing any of this stuff anymore. So, but there is some cool things, and I'm really glad that we're going to get to put that out.
We're really looking forward to it. There's definitely a big demand, and a lot of people are very, very happy to be participating in all of this.
I actually got some ideas about some stuff just even while we were talking, but I'll keep that between Amir and I right now. So that's pretty.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me ideas, so
that's great. Looking forward into the end of 2024 and 2025, what all is on track for Julian K? And you have your new album, and I'm sure you're going to be back out on the road. What all do you guys have coming up as well?
Well, we have this album, Dark Mode. We did our latest crowdfunding campaign, which is basically where we go and we fund it directly with our fans.
You might be the biggest most successful crowdfunding band of all time. I don't know statistics on it, but you have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think dollar for dollar, I think we are. We're definitely in the top, probably 3 in the world, and that's amazing. To be able to walk around now and just be like, look, we've made directly from our fans, and when I say made, I don't mean it's not a donation. We're creating product and stuff with our fans, and we're interacting with, and we have a relationship with our fans, like a actual real relationship. Just like Linkin Park does with the people that really support Linkin Park. They have this incredible organization and it's inspirational. Well, on a smaller level, we have the situation where we've gotten more money directly from our fans to do our art by creating compelling and cool things that they can be involved in and that they love. We've gotten more money than a major label would give to an act, and we're this independent band doing this all on our own. So we did our latest campaign. It was again #1. And it quicker than ever. I mean, I think we did $20,000 the first hour. I mean, it was just off the fucking wall. And it leveled out at right up there with our big campaigns. It was just awesome.
I've seen you
And
guys like crash the platforms before, or the
yeah,
packages sell out so quickly for some of the
yeah,
exclusive stuff. You have to go back in and add it because people are like having a
yeah,
meltdown about, oh my God, I didn't see it in the
yeah.
first 5 minutes and now it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, on this one especially, like it was just literally within minutes. Like some of the raddest, most expensive even items were just gone, and that was super cool. We have to scramble, and it's a job when you do this stuff. I think that some people look at what we do and they go like, oh, well, you guys can just get online and just get $60,000, from your fans. Well, no, not really. Actually, all of that takes like for us to execute something like that correctly. We spend months building the thing out, making sure we can create all this product, making sure that we have every single portion of this what is a temporary store, like a fucking store that you have to build all the art elements, everything. So man, it better work. But we test it, we're going back and forth. Hey Amir, you're at your house, look at the page, test these buttons, make sure. I mean, it's a website build, it's everything, and then a whole social media like campaign and all this kind of stuff. And for it to work is just incredible. And sometimes it works so quickly and it's so hard that it almost breaks the systems that we create, and it's a cool thing. I think that every time we do it, it's been more nuts. And it's been almost 10 years that we've been doing this now, which is fucking absurd. It's just incredible. And I think we have a model that's awesome. And I think that very few people can do it, but we're grateful to be, I think probably the biggest crowdfunding band in the world right now. Just awesome.
It's
Just
great.
absolutely
It's
awesome. So we have that.
I was going to say the show. We have the Club Tattoo show coming up.
Oh, we have a
in
Club
Whiskey.
Tattoo show in Phoenix, and we have a big headline show at the Whiskey in December with Great A's, actually.
Actually, both shows are with Great
Yeah,
A's.
both shows are with Great A's. So the Whiskey show, typically when we play the Whiskey, it's a big deal. The December shows are always a big deal. We have full production, all the lights, everything that we're doing. And we actually have let's go ahead and start a rumor. We have some very, very special guests planned to play with us that anyone that's been following Amir and I for, forever, you will be so fucking excited about this. You won't know what to do with yourself. It actually may be a once in a lifetime thing. So I'd come. It's going to be rad. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we can do it more than just this show, but it's going to be pretty cool. It's definitely worth flying out to see if it's possible for our fans all over the country. And we have a tour that's going to announce in January that will be happening mostly West Coast to Texas, because you can't really play a lot of above that in the winter. You just can't. It's too dangerous to be out on the roads doing what we do.
Right.
And we have a major tour later in the year, probably around September, I'd say, that we'll announce soon. It's with two bands that all of our fans will absolutely love, and it's going to be a bigger tour. It'll be a tour that's probably going to have a lot of sold out dates. So that's something to keep on the agenda. And then we can't announce this either, but it looks like we are going to make it back to Europe at the end of 2025.
Excellent.
And when I say Europe, it's 25 and 26. It's not locked down, so I can't say that it's happening, but I'd say it's very likely, and it's big. It's not like, we're playing like some little club dates. It's legit shit. And we've been working for this to get back there for, since 2011. I mean, it's just so great. And this could be such an opportunity for us. We're just so excited about it. So we have the new album coming out. We'll be doing all sorts of cool stuff with that. There's a very good chance that we're going to produce some sort of an online event. That's all I can say about it. So that will be something that involves us performing and doing some cool stuff and everything, but a little bit more than that. It's been a concept that I've been rolling around for a while. And, all of the stuff is like, we just have to figure out, like, how the fuck are we going to do this? It's just more stuff. We just go, oh my God, what did we just start? And then you have to figure it out. And then at the end of the day, it's got to be something that our fans are like, God, I love this band. They did something really cool again. So that's what we're constantly trying to do. So we probably we're probably booked out till 2026. That's amazing.
That's
independent, no management, no anything. Pretty incredible. So, and you know what? I sure as heck hope we can play with Linkin Park again sometime just to celebrate the awesomeness and how awesome they've been to us and honestly giving us a leg up and helping us do all the stuff that we're doing. I see all the great stuff they're doing and it just makes me happy. I honestly, it makes me so happy to see Linkin Park, Brazil, and Linkin Park in Germany, and Linkin Park. It just makes me, I don't know. I feel that Chester would be so excited.
Absolutely. Well, there's so many great things on the horizon, especially in the Julian K world. Any closing thoughts on the album coming out on Friday, the deluxe edition, and then moving forward with Dead by Sunrise in the future? Any closing thoughts on the project as a whole, or anything else you would like to tell the fans before we hop off?
Well, obviously, thank you so much for all of you, and thank you for all the people that are becoming apparently more interested in Dead by Sunrise, and even more DMs and all sorts of shit that I get all the time about like they want us to play.
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet. There's a possibility that we could do something like that. But right now we're really focused on Julian K, and we want to get this work out, this Dead by Sunrise product out, and we're really excited for everyone to hear these new tracks, these new acoustic versions. And I think we're just going to be kind of, like I said, neutral and hanging back and seeing what people say, and hopefully people love them as much as we do. And this fire that's been starting with Dead by Sunrise grows, and we're able to just do more stuff because it's really the fans that give us the ability to do this. If the stuff streams, if the vinyl sells, then the label comes back and they'll allow us to do more cool stuff. So the support of the fans is what we really need. Same with Julian K. All the Linkin Park fans, thank you so much. Your guys' support, participating, jumping on our Patreon and supporting us there, all the kind of stuff that we do, that has been massive for us. And as a bonus for Dead by Sunrise fans, we have definitely talked about doing maybe a Patreon chunk of time where we can break down the Dead by Sunrise tracks, track by track, once a month. And so people can jump on our Patreon even temporarily and participate in these private sessions where we basically go through track by track and we talk about how we created the song and what these lyrics are about, or where they were recorded, how they were recorded. And they are extremely compelling sessions. I mean, anyone who's taken part of them would know that they're really, really special. So that's something that we've talked about doing with Dead by Sunrise, and we can totally do it. So
that is a great idea, and I think there definitely would be a lot of demand for that, especially because you guys wrote the songs, you were there, you put them into the computer, you know everything about the songs. I think people would really love to hear the stories behind them.
Yeah, and it would just be, I mean, they're really cool. They're hour and a half, 2 hour sessions. And, you can see that we have like production in here. We have, cinema cameras. We have more than one. And we have the screen set up to where you can screen share and they can see where the Pro Tools tracks, and we can go through, we isolate things. And it's very cool when you hear all the interesting things everyone did. And not only that, but to hear Chester's voice isolated. Chills.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. Very generous of you to spend so much time, over an hour, discussing the release coming on Friday, the whole project as a whole, a lot of history about it, and then future plans as well. So on behalf of all the Julian K and Dead by Sunrise and Linkin Park fans, thank you so much for your time. Definitely would love to connect with you again in the future for more releases and projects. So everybody maybe stay tuned on social media. We'll see if we can connect again sometime.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And we're the lucky guys. So thank you so much for wanting to even talk to us and share our story. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks for always, promoting everything, that's like Julian K and everything on LPLive.
It's been great. It's been a long time. Back in 2009, Amir was DMing me the private show Dead by Sunrise set list. So 15 years later.
Wow, that's so cool.
You play a private Google show or something, whatever it is. And Amir's like, here's what the songs are, because no one else is going to tell you. And I'm like, well, I greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
Oh, that's funny.
That's so
I
cool.
remember that now.
Yep.
But yeah, I know you put a lot of the Julian K stuff, the dates up there. I mean, I refer to a lot of that stuff a lot of times because I'm like, where are we at that one?
Yeah.
And I'll go to the site and look there and be like, oh yeah, forgot about that show. I mean, actually, when I look at all that stuff, I'm like, wow, I can't believe we did we've done so many shows, and I don't even know that you have all the latest stuff up there yet.
Not yet. We're working on it. So, of course, as it did for everyone, the Linkin Park stuff took us by surprise in the middle of a very slow burn to try and upgrade things, which had no real momentum behind it on my part because I was like, oh, we have until the end of the world, right? But no, Linkin Park came back, and so now there's that fire, and so yes,
Yeah.
we will definitely get on that. But it's been a lot of fun to cover Julian K over the years and participate in all of the projects and just follow it all. It's great music, and we're just greatly happy that you guys are carrying the flag for so much of this music and being such positive forces for everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you.
All right, Mike, you can cut that.